Using the Grid Page menu, you can create a range of grids that sit as backgrounds on your workbook pages. There are two ways that you can access the Grid menu. The first is through the Page Sorter menu. Open up the Options menu for the page you want the grid to be on, highlight and select Grid from the menu. The Grid menu will now appear. The second way to access the Grid menu is by right-clicking on the canvas area. Highlight and select Grid. The Grid menu will now appear. Once you have the Grid menu open, you're given 4 different grid styles to choose from. Use the drop-down menu to select a style. I will review the different grid styles at the end of this video, but for the purpose of showing you the various grid options, I will use the normal grid. Below the grid style you'll find the Show Grid option. To ensure you can see the grid, make sure you tick the square next to Show Grid. Apply to all pages is the next option. By ticking this, the chosen grid will appear on all pages within the workbook file. Left unticked, the grid will only show on the currently selected page. If Snap to Position is selected, then when objects are placed on the canvas and moved around, they will snap to the lines of the grid. If I select this option and head into my workbook page, you'll notice that when I move my shape, it snaps into place where the grid lines are. This option is only available for the normal grid selection. If we head back into the Grid menu, the next option is Snap Resize. Again, only available for the normal grid. If I select Snap Resize and head back into my workbook page, you'll notice that every time I go to make my shape larger, it increases in size by a set amount. That amount is the distance between the grid lines. The Snap Lines option is for use with the line function. Refer to the line function video for more information on using it. When I create a new line and attempt to increase its size and angle, it will only increase and adjust to the size and placement of the grids on my page. This function is available for the normal and ISO grids. The option Highlight Margins, again only available for the normal grid, will highlight set lines within the grid page, creating margins. If I tick it and then head back into my workbook page, you'll see the result. The final option is the Grid Visibility. For darker grid lines, select Dark, or for lighter ones, select Light. If I select Dark and click OK, my lines will get darker. As shown in this video clip, if you select the normal grid style, it provides you with a range of squares across the page. You can change the size of the squares by using the grid size function. Plus to make the grid size larger, minus to make it smaller. You can also input a grid size by selecting the number and typing in a new size. Under the normal grid, all of the options on the menu are available to select from. Once you're completed, click OK, and your grid will appear. The handwriting grid provides users with a grid that resembles handwriting paper. An increase in the grid size will create an increase in the gap between the margins. You definitely want a show grid, and if I select dark as my template option, I will get the lowercase line. If I select light, then I won't see the lowercase line. Click OK when done. The musical grid turns your grid into a blank sheet of music paper. The gaps between the lines will increase when the grid size is increased. Likewise, the gaps will decrease when grid size is decreased. Again, you definitely want to show grid, and of course select your light or dark. Click OK when completed. Similar to the normal grid, the ISO grid is ideal for creating isometrical drawings. Again, increase and decrease of grid size. Make sure you click Show Grid, and dark or light template options. Once selected, click OK.